The very same citizens who continued to re-elect him time after time, term after term, on no less than 7 occasions over more than 2 decades. And throughout his 20 or so years tenure as the mayor of Davao, Rodrigo Duterte and his family transformed that city from an outpost of communist insurgency and criminal violence into what is now one of the safest cities, not just in the Philippines, but in the entire world. This was indeed the so-called Davao model, which the prosecution wants to persuade you was code for unbridled criminal violence. And this was the type of leader that the Filipino nation wanted in 2016. So, Rodrigo Duterte was elected into power, not in spite of, but specifically because of his firm and uncompromising commitment to upholding law and order. And after his election as president, Rodrigo Duterte remained a man of the people, without seeking to patronize the people. Gung-ho in his ways and with a belligerent tone, he spoke the tough tongue of the street, not the dissembling discourse of international diplomacy. He said what the people wanted to hear, but he said it in a way that offended sensibilities of world leaders unaccustomed to hearing it, one in particular, and that was what set him on the slippery slope to a prison cell in The Hague. And let me tell you how it works. It starts with the media, controlled by the powerful and the politically influential. With a sensational headline and a twisted editorial slant, the moguls sell their papers while promoting the partisan agenda of their backers in power. They highlight the salacious content while ignoring the true context, because that is what captivates the reader. And so it was with Rodrigo Duterte, whose speeches were fertile fodder for his enemies and detractors. A man whose hyperbole, bluster and rhetoric, once published, became a natural target for privately funded NGOs and human rights activists, a loose collective more commonly known as civil society. These people descended upon the Philippines to advance an agenda even more lacking in objectivity than that of the media, and heavily funded by tycoons with even grander designs, they print their glossy reports, replete with iconic photographic images of grieving families and dead bodies in rain-swept, nighttime crime scenes, all dramatically illuminated with the fluorescent glow of neon. Images carefully crafted to shock the conscience and to sway the emotions, and, I may say, to be used by the prosecutor when they don't even relate to the charges. And they gave their slick reports bold titles lifted straight out of a James Bond movie, such as License to Kill, One Shot to the Head, You Can Die Any Time, or simply, They Just Kill. The photographers are feted and their shots exhibited as art all over the world, and the brave journalists who act as their sources win awards and Nobel Prizes. And slowly but surely, their narrative becomes the sacred, unchallengeable, and unshakable truth. And so the pressure builds up, and the academics who haunt the corridors of the progressive left law faculties far away in the United States tweet their research and publish their articles pontificating about crimes against humanity, systematic attacks against the civilian population, and they point their finger at one man alone, and bandy about slogans such as accountability and the prevention of impunity. They give their gratuitous advice on what should be done, sometimes academics who formerly worked alongside the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court. Communications and complaints are filed, and the rest, as they say, is history. In any event, we're not gathered here today to judge a man on the basis of his coarse attitude or his vulgar language. This court has convened a confirmation hearing to verify whether substantial grounds exist to believe that Rodrigo Duterte, the people's president, together with various so-called co-perpetrators, over the years of his governance, devised a criminal policy of wholesale and wanton murder. And since we are in a court of law, it is worth stressing although I should not have to. Cases are decided on the basis of evidence, not supposition, not rumour, not spicy gossip, and certainly not on the basis of political rhetoric and bluster. Because at the end of the day, were it not for those belligerent and controversial speeches, there would have been no impetus to bring the People's President to The Hague. And when the prosecution's evidence is examined, I would ask you to keep an open mind and to question not just whether that evidence has been selectively presented, but whether there exists evidence which the prosecution has failed to produce. And I say this with justifiable cause, particularly with respect to the Duterte rhetoric, as we will prove during the substantive part of our submissions. The notorious speeches on which the prosecution relies have been cherry-picked to suit its narrative, while ignoring the many other speeches when the former president tempered his bombastic language by clear reference to the principle of lawful self-defence. We, the defence, have read as many of these speeches as we can find. In fact, in our poky little office on the top floor of the furthest building away in this complex, we have a counter which ticks and ticks. And whenever we come across a speech which contradicts the prosecution's murder theory by reference to self-defence, we give a cheer. And the counter goes up once more, and we celebrate one more nail in the coffin of the prosecution's case theory. As the statistics stand as of today, in contrast to the 20 speeches on which the prosecution relies to prove incitement to kill, we have found 35 more which say the complete opposite. Let me give you two examples from the very speeches that the Deputy Prosecutor himself cited today. Let's refer first of all to the famous Pietà speech, which the Deputy Prosecutor referred to. So, this is what the Deputy Prosecutor said. Those of you who are still sober, those who haven't tried illegal drugs, if you don't want to die or get hurt, don't rely on the priests, including human rights advocates. They won't be able to prevent deaths, and so it goes on. But if we look further on in the very same speech, something which maybe the Deputy Prosecutor didn't do, this is what he had to say. To our police officers and other officials, do your job, and you will have the unwavering support of the Office of the President. I will be with you all the way. Abuse your authority, and there will be hell to pay, for you will have become worse than criminality itself. Well, there you are. You have it straight in your face. PECSO, exonerating evidence within what is claimed to be the prosecution incriminating evidence. I won't take up my time by showing you the second speech, but there is one. If I have time at the end, I will show it to you.
Alright mga kababayan, so gawa natin ng reaction video and also magbigay tayo ng personal opinion dito nga po sa nangyaring speech po, no? Dito po sa confirmation of charges hearing ni dating Pangulong Duterte dito nga po sa The Hague. So actually hindi na natin natapos yung kabuuang video, itong speech ni Attorney Kaufman kasi bigla siyang naputol. So ayan mga kababayan, natutuwa lang ako no kung paano nanindigan itong si Attorney Kaufman sa pagtatanggol nga dito kay PRRD. Dahil nga po naniniwala tayo na si PRRD ay walang kasalanan at still walang jurisdiction itong ICC para si Tatay Digong ay ikulong nila dyan at sila yung lumitis kung nagkasalaman itong ating dating presidente. Kasi wala namang problema mga kababayan kung talagang siya ay mapatunayan na nagkasala, dapat dito sa Pilipinas, dito siya litisin at dito siya ikulong. Kaya lang yan yung ilan sa mga bagay na ipinaglalaban po lalo na ng mga supporters at mga humahawak sa kanyang kaso na ang ginawa sa kanya ay di umano'y kidnapping, no? At mismong si PRRD na nga ang nagsabi na kinidnap nga daw siya at hindi siya nabigyan ng due process, no, upang ipagtanggol ang kanyang sarili, ang kanyang karapatan bilang isang Filipino. Gayon din ang kanyang mga legal counsel o lahat ng kanyang mga kapartido, mga taga-suporta ay naniniwala na hindi tama yung ginawa sa kanya ng gobyernong ito. So up until no mga kababayan, yan yung mainit na nagiging diskurso ng ilan sa mga kababayan natin kasi hati ang opinyon, eh. Siyempre yung mga, tutol dito sa naging, drug on war or war on drugs ni dating Pangulong Duterte, yung mga hindi pabor diyan siyempre sila yung mga, maiingay talaga 'no. Samantalang yung iba naman na pabor na majority na talagang, natuwa 'no at, maganda yung naging, resulta nung war on drugs ni PRRD dahil ako mismo personally mga kababayan, meron akong, tiyuhin 'no, na talagang, siya ay, nalulung sa pinagbabawal na gamot at talagang grabe yung perwisyo mga kababayan. Hindi kasi nila nararamdaman yung meron kang pamilya, meron isa sa pamilya ninyo na ano, gumagamit ng ipinagbabawal na gamot. So iba talaga yung ambience sa isang pamilya, sa isang bahay na meron nakatira na ganyan yung ginagawa, na gumagawa ng hindi maganda. Kaya talagang malaking tulong itong war on drugs ni PRRD kasi maraming nagbalik loob, eh. Maraming nagbagong buhay, maraming, nakapagsimula ng panibagong buhay nila at, naging maayos yung kanilang pamumuhay dahil dito sa naging hakbang ni PRRD. At ito lang naman ay ginawa niya upang iligtas ang higit na nakakaraming Filipino, mga inosente, 'no? Lalo na yung mga nababalitaan natin noon na basta na lang itinatapon kung saan, natatagpuan yung mga kababaihan kung saan, bigla na lang may papatayin or what. So, grabe 'no, nakakalungkot lang mga kababayan kasi itong, inilalabas ng mga mainstream media ay yung mga network na 'to ay mismong hina-highlight lang nila 'no, yung, naging nightmare nung war on drugs ni PRRD pero hindi nila ibinibigay yung buong konteksto kung bakit ba nangyari itong mga bagay na 'to. So, tingin niyo ba sino ba namang loko ang gagawa ng ganito kung wala naman talagang gumagamit ng ipinagbabawal na gamot sa isang bansa? 'Di ba, imagine niyo 'yan. Kaya itong, ginawa ni PRRD ay pagmamalasakit lamang po sa higit na nakakaraming Pilipino at binigyan niya ng pagkakataon itong mga taong 'to upang makapagbago. Pero sadyang may mga kababayan talaga tayo na talagang nilamon na ng sistema at, hindi na siguro nila alintana kung ano yung magiging consequences ng gagawin nila. So, imagine niyo 'yan, ngayon mga kababayan na naglipanan na naman yung mga gumagamit ng ipinagbabawal na gamot. Grabe ang hirap na ng panahon natin ngayon dahil ano naman, laganap na naman yung, mga krimen na dulot 'no, na sanhi ng, paggamit ng ipinagbabawal na gamot. Ang dami na naman nating nababalitaan 'no, na mga ginahasa, ang dami na naman nating nabalitaan na, ah, pinatay dahil po sa, ah pagkalulong sa ipinagbabawal na gamot. Kaya talagang mga kababayan, ito nga ginawa kay PRRT ay, tila, pinagtulungan talaga 'to, eh, 'no, upang, siguro nang sa gano'n ay mawala ang tinik 'no, sa mga, tinatawag nating mga sindikato siguro dito sa ating bansa na talagang maalis siya kasi siya yung balakid, eh, 'no. Kasi talagang malaking negosyo talaga 'to mga kababayan at alam naman natin na ang paggamit ng pinagbabawal na gamot ay walang pupuntahan 'no, wala tayong mabuting kahihinatnan diyan. Kaya maraming sumasaludo kay PRRD dahil ngayon pa lang, eh, parang inalay niya na yung kanyang buhay para sa bansa niya 'no. Kahit na sabihin na natin na ang daming nagagalit sa kanya, ang daming, masama ang loob sa kanya, ang daming, hate siya dahil sa, bastos daw niyang bibig, bunganga. So, para sa akin mga kababayan, ginawa lang ni PRRD yung dapat 'no, nung siya ay, namumuno upang mailigtas ang higit na nakakarami na ating mga kababayan. Kaya natutuwa naman ako dito kay Attorney Kaufman kasi talagang, nanindigan talaga siya at alam niyo 'yun kung paano siya magsalita, paano niya i-deliver yung kanyang speech ay talagang confident siya 'no, kung paano niya ipagtanggol itong kanyang kliyente na si dating Pangulong Duterte kasi naniniwala siya na ano, eh, inosente itong si PRRD. Kaya lang masyado kasing nagamit yung, media, 'yan na-mention niya 'yan kanina, na masyadong nagamit yung, mga media upang, alam niyo 'yun, parang i-highlight yung, pangit na side ng, war on drugs ni PRRD. Samantalang yung totoong, konteksto kung bakit nagkaroon ng war on drugs noong panahon niya ay, hindi masyadong ano 'no, isinasa publiko parang hindi siya masyadong nabibigyan ng atensyon, puro na lang yung mga naging biktima ng, war on drugs yung, naging issue. Eh, paano naman 'no yung mga, pamilya, paano yung mga magulang na nawalan ng kanilang mga anak dahil sa mga ginawa ng mga kababayan nating mga, nalulong sa ipinagbabawal na gamot. Paano na lang yung buhay na kinuha nila? Paano na lang yung mga pangarap na kinuha nila, 'di ba parang unfair? So dapat para ano lang tayo, fair, dapat sabihin din 'no at ibalita din kung bakit ba nangyari yung bagay na yun, 'di ba? Dahil kung hindi siguro mga kababayan, noon-noon pa 'no, siguro talagang laganap na at, lipana na talaga yung, ganitong, sistema sa ating bansa. Ngayon pa nga lang, 'di ba nakakatakot na yung panahon natin ngayon kasi parang hindi na natin feel na safe tayo lalo na kung aabutin tayo ng gabi sa kalsada, hindi na tayo ano, hindi na tayo komportable na maglakad ng madilim. Unlike dati nung panahon ni Pangulong, Rodrigo Roa Duterte, grabe kahit na abutin ka ng madaling araw na galing ka sa trabaho, okey lang, parang less ang, nababalitang mga ganitong krimen kasi may takot 'no, may takot sila at may ano sila, disiplina sila sa kanilang mga sarili. Kaya ngayon kitang-kita mo talaga yung kaibahan 'no, sa administrasyong ito compare sa nakaraang administrasyon. Kaya ayun mga kababayan, yung, komento lang natin dito 'no, tanging, sana ang husgado ng Pilipinas yung, lumitis kay, PRRD at, naway i-ano na 'to si ano makapagdesisyon na ang ICC kasi 80 years old naman na 'to si PRRD 'no. Sana siya ay, ano na lang, i-surrender na lang pabalik dito sa Pilipinas at dito litisin 'no. At kung siya man ay nagkamali, mapatunayan na nagkamali, nagkasala, wala namang problema dun, Willing naman siya magpakulong 'no, willing niyang pagbayaran yung kanyang mga, ginawa. Kapalit niyan yung, kaligtasan ng mas maraming, Filipino. So again, maraming salamat mga kababayan at panoorin niyo po yung kabuuang video ng, confirmation of charges ni PRRD sa ICC po para mas maintindihan niyo po yung kabuuang, konteksto nito 'no. Kasi naka-ano naman yun, naka-live naman po sila dun at naka-break lamang po sila. So again, maraming maraming salamat mga kababayan. Please comment down below kung ano yung opinion ninyo or ano yung insights niyo about dito sa naging, confirmation na of charges hearing ni dating Pangulong Duterte. Ano yung ano niyo dito, komento ninyo? Please comment down below. Maraming maraming salamat po at God bless po sa inyong lahat.